Hi, I'm Keith, and today I'm going to show how to use Auth0 to secure your ngrok delivered app in just a matter of seconds. If you caught my previous video on using GitLab, Google, or one of the others, you'll see that this one is a little bit different. So let's go ahead and dive in. You'll need two things to get started. First, an ngrok account, and second, an Auth0 account. If you sign up for the default settings on both accounts, that's just fine. You don't need anything else. Then we have our sample application. If you've seen this before in any of my other videos, it hasn't changed at all. We have a default Express app starting on port 3001. We're setting a server name, and we're effectively saying hello world. Nothing all that advanced or complex. Now there's two additions that I would like to call out here. We're also looking for a header called the ngrok auth username, and if that's set, we say it by name. And we're also looking for a header called ngrok auth OAuth access token. And if that token is there, we're going to go ahead and grab that out. If it's a JOT, we'll go ahead and decode it. That's the extent of the application. We're not doing anything particularly advanced here. So with that, let's go ahead and get it started. We'll pop over to command line, and first we'll go ahead and do node app just to run the application itself. So if all is going well, we can go ahead and open up localhost 3001, and sure enough, it's running. And there's no access token present because we haven't done anything with it yet. And then we'll go ahead and we'll start ngrok HTTP 3001. Actually, let's make this a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and put a subdomain in front of this. And this is Auth0 demo. All right, so now we've got the static URL. And now when we put this into our browser, we'll see exactly the same thing. Nothing has changed. That's exactly what we expect. Now let's go back to our command line. Now, if you saw my other videos, you saw the command is OAuth equals Google. And that's all it takes to get started with Google or LinkedIn or GitLab as one of your identity providers. With Auth0, it's a little bit different. We have to be a little bit more specific. So we need to add a couple additional parameters. So first, we have to say OIDC. And then from here, we'll go over to rephrase. And from here, we'll go over to Auth0 to check our settings. So we'll go ahead and log in here. I'm already logged in, so it should direct me directly to the dashboard. Then we want to go to the applications. We'll create an application, but in this case, we'll just grab our existing one. And there's a few settings we need here. We need the domain, which will end up being the issuer for our token, the client ID and client secret. Now there's one more thing we need to set here that's very easy to overlook. If we scroll down here, we need the allowed callback URLs. This is where Auth0 is allowed to send back our token after we successfully authenticate. We need to be very careful with this URL. If we set something outside our domain, outside our control, other applications, other domains can actually get our credentials. So in this case, we'll want to go ahead and set this to default idp.ngrok.com/OAuth2/callback. This is the same no matter what identity provider you use, and we'll actually see where this comes from in just a moment. All right, now let's go ahead and get this set up on the command line. So first we'll grab our domain, which is what ends up being our OIDC, the issuer itself. And we need to prefix this with HTTPS and then a trailing slash here just to make sure that everything's taken care of. Then we say OIDC client ID. We'll go ahead and grab this one, drop that in. And then we'll say OIDC client secret. And we'll go ahead and grab this one also and put this in. Now, one quick warning here. The client secret is absolutely a credential. In most cases, I would not put this into an application. I wouldn't put this into a video to share online, anything like that. By the time you see this video, this credential will be dead. But you, for your applications, you must protect this because it is a credential. Now, if all goes well, I can go ahead and start this. And sure enough, it went ahead and started exactly like I expected. So I'll grab this URL and pop back to my browser. I could just hit refresh here, and if all goes well, it's asking me to log in. So I'll say danger@kcsoftware.com, which is my user here. And if this has worked, I'll be redirected to my application. And sure enough, this worked exactly like we expected. We could see here's a token. It's greeted me by name. That came from the identity provider, or in this case, Auth0. And then here's the token actually decoded. So you can see this came through exactly as we expected. Now, there's a couple risks that come along with this. Normally, I would never embed a credential on the command line like that, so let's make a couple tweaks here. Over on the ngrok side of things, we'll go ahead and go to our dashboard, and we'll use what's called a cloud edge. A cloud edge is just a way of grouping a bunch of settings all in one place and putting them together nice, simply, and safely. So we'll go ahead and set up an OIDC module. We'll begin setup here. So let's see, we need our issuer URL. Luckily, Auth0 provides that right here, so we'll grab that. Let's make sure to add the HTTPS in the trailing slash. Our client ID, we grab it just like we did before. Our client secret, we grab that just like we did before. And then this is the callback URL that we had to set on the Auth0 side of things. So if you ever get lost or confused or wonder where that is, that comes from this right here. And now we can hit save. Now in this case, we do not start the tunnel exactly like we did before. So if we go back over to the command line, instead of using this command that we used previously, we get a slightly different command from our dashboard here. So we grab this and we go back to the command line and make one change here. And so now every time we start a tunnel, it's going to set up with that edge exactly as we configured it. So now when we go back here, it's no longer tied to the URL we had before. It's tied to this URL. And if all has gone well, we'll log in just like we did here. We're having to log in again because it doesn't have the same context. It doesn't have the same cookie that we did before. And if all goes well, we get redirected to the app, and sure enough, there it is. We've logged in successfully. So this is a quick way to protect any ngrok delivered application with Auth0. You can do it via the command line, which works, but you end up embedding credentials in the command line, and you probably don't want to do that. Or you can use a cloud edge, which makes it super easy to embed and share those settings across many different applications, many different scenarios. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop us a note. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, and have a good one.